What is up, everybody? Good to see everybody in the house today. Of course, it is Wednesday night here in Bangkok, Thailand. But wherever you are, whether it's Wednesday morning over there in the United States or you're in Europe or wherever else in the world, happy morning, evening, or night to you. This is a Legal Mindset. We teach you to be your own judge. And I, of course, am Andrew Esquire, Florida attorney and slayer of the rat. So it's good to see everybody here in the house today. Now, I have a little bit of a cough, so I will be hitting this water here very quickly. And I am a little busy because I've got a lot to do. I will be hopping on a plane tomorrow, and I'll be getting in some details on my locals afterwards about that. So come to my locals afterwards for the after party. We'll talk about all those details of what my schedule is going to be like in the U.S. But that said, definitely glad to be here today and hanging out with all of you. So we're going to be talking about Disney today. We're going to be going into their Bud Light moment, or what I view as their Bud Light moment. This is their moment in which I think they're going to absolutely fail. But this is definitely something that I think is a huge problem for Disney. It's a huge problem for Disney in terms of their liability, in terms of like what they've been covering, and really where they can fall. Right, they can fall as far as Bud Light. They can fall in terms of 25% of their stock value, which is what we're looking at for Bud Light. We're looking at massive losses. So we're going to go into that today. I'm going to show you these videos, these Dylan Mulvaney-like videos, because there's actually more than one. So we're going to show you those and get into that here today. But I also want to do it as a live. I could have done this as a pre-recorded, but because I'm going to be away for a couple of days, I'm going to have to put up a bunch of pre-recorded videos, clips. I wanted to make sure to do a live so I can hang out with you guys and say what's up. Still recovering from my birthday. Man, you guys destroyed me. I think this like little cold I have here is because you guys destroyed my immune system with I think I did like 20 shots. It was a ridiculous amount during my birthday stream, but I do appreciate all you guys coming out and supporting me for that. I also appreciate my legalmindset.locals.com gangsters over there on Locals. Everybody who stopped by and is a member or became a member there. I see Link, Steve C, a bunch of others over there, Hammer over there on Locals. So appreciate y'all Locals members as well. We already have one here from Victoria Angelina. Bella Stella, what's going on? Who says for $17.99 dinar, some Arab Emirates dinar, saying you are so hungover. No, I'm not hungover today. I'm actually sick. More have like a nose, throat thing. But you know what? You gotta come through and stream. You gotta come through and stream. You gotta pull it together. Hope you had an awesome birthday. Felicidades from Nikki. Nikki, good to see you, Nikki. Hope you're doing well. Appreciate you. Appreciate your support of the channel. And all those that supported me now and for my birthday and for the last couple of days and as we've been coming at Disney. You never, ever, ever go full Bud Light. And yes, Freedom Ring, this is really live. I love how people have to ask that, like, is this really live? If I'm answering super chats and I'm pulling them up on the screen, then yes, it's live. It's live. All right, but good to see everybody here in the chat today. And good to see my homeboy. Got Benjamin Walter Hart here today. What's going on, Ben? We recorded Bangkok Bros earlier today. And yeah. Adriana asking, is this live stream? Get out of here, Adriana. I'm going to time you out. I'm going to ban you. I'm joking. I appreciate all you all in the chat and all you members as well. Hopefully you have the notifications. If you don't, make sure you ding the bell and also make sure you like the video on the way in because it really helps us out in the algorithm. So let's get right into it here today. So obviously you guys know what happened with Bud Light. So you know that the Bud Light stock has hit a huge loss here. And actually, I want to make sure that I pull it up. The most recent report is actually one from The Guardian. Here we go. Let me pull this up. So this is for Anheuser-Busch InBev. So this is for InBev, which, by the way, is a massive parent company. It has multiple beer brands under it. So they're reporting a sharp drop in revenue after what they call right-wing backlash. I would call it families that don't want, this sort of advertising, and dudes who are just like, yeah, you know what? This is not the type of marketing that appeals to dudes that are drinking Bud Light. So 10.5% fall in revenue for InBev as a whole. So not just for the Bud Light brand, not just purchases of Bud Light, but as a whole. That is massive. That is absolutely massive. They have not been able to give away their beer. Operating profits dropped nearly 30%. 30% profit drop. So this is what we're seeing for Bud Light. So remember, we're waiting on the earnings call, and I am planning on attending at least the earnings call. Now, I don't know when I'm going to wake up. It is very early in the morning. It's like 4 or 5 a.m. Bangkok time. But I am planning on I'm jumping on for the earning call stream, probably with Valiant. So I do plan on doing that. And then I'll do a stream afterwards, kind of covering the fallout from that or the consequences from that as well, right? Including any potential legal consequences or consequences for the cases that are pending against Disney. That being said, 30% profit drop. Yeah, that's pretty massive. That's pretty massive. So that's the potential of what you could see if you're looking at the Disney stock. Yeah, people say, but their stock is holding up. Well, once again, people can be buying, but we have to look at profits in the long term. And when they're going down this road, it may not happen this earnings call. It may be the next earnings call afterwards. What's the direction of the company? Is it upwards or is it downwards, right? Obviously, you see with Bud Light, it's downwards. Now, what obviously sparked this was Dylan Mulvaney. Now, you guys all have seen, and I will not play again. I don't think you guys need to see it, for a second time. But obviously, there was the famous Bud Light commercial, right? So most people have seen the Bud Light commercial. They've seen I can just pull up the image here because I don't want to play it again. But you guys have seen the image, in the video here of Dylan. Actually, hold on. This is actually not presenting the information well. So let's do it this way. Most of you have seen, this image here, over here of Dylan. And obviously, this one did not work out for Bud Light, right? So after you have proof that this sort of marketing does not work, you have proof positive that this not only does not work, but it's going to result in a huge drop. Disney goes out and says, you know what's a good idea? Let's copy their marketing tactics. So Disney has seen all of this, and they've decided after this to now go down the exact same road of marketing. And I'm going to show you guys the main video that's being passed around. Some of you may not have seen this video, but this is the main video that's being passed around. And Bella Stella, thank you for the dinar, $36.99, saying feel better soon. Thank you so much. Appreciate that, Bella. I will try to take care of myself, take all my meds, and feel better. But certainly this video that I'm about to show you is not helping me feel better at all. This, in fact, makes me sick to my stomach. So hold on. This was put out here probably by some Alyssa Heinerscheid of Disney. Some Alyssa Heinerscheid. She's the one who did it for Bud Light, one who did the woke advertising for Bud Light. This is Alyssa Heinerscheid level marketing. So let me show you guys this one. And when I saw this, even I couldn't believe they went down this road. Now, some of you may have seen this. Some of you may have not, but let me play this for you. This is the video that Disney chose to market on its own channel, Disney Style. So this is a trans person, and they are on the channel Disney Style, on the official Disney channel. And here we go. Buckle up for a minute and 14 seconds.
Let's get dressed. Today we're looking at the most iconic friend group, Disney's Mickey and Friends. And the character most like me is Minnie Mouse. And I have the most perfect dress to start the look. It even has little Mickeys on it.
And let's just start. This is indeed a biological man. This is indeed a biological man. Let's be very careful here, guys. It's biological man.
I love how bold of a red it is. It's just like Minnie. I'm thinking of layering a fun collar, like this one, just to give it a little more flair. But now I feel like the dress needs more shape. So let's add this white petticoat under it. It's so fun to move in, and I love how it peeks out at the bottom. And to add even more shape, this belt should do the trick. Now for hair, I'm thinking of doing space buns. So let's pull out my hair donuts, and just like that, it kind of looks like I have Minnie ears. And Minnie wears gloves, so I need gloves. I'm also gonna add this watch with Minnie and all her friends on it. It's so cute. But now, to be as bold as Minnie, I need a bold red lip. It's a classic, and it's so pretty. Now, let's add some black tights and pull out the iconic yellow pump. I'm just like Minnie Mouse. But wait, something's missing. I know. How could I forget? A giant red bow, the biggest fashion statement. And now the look is complete.
So this is the trans influencer putting out here the video. That's enough of that there. But now this is not the only one. So people may say, oh, well, is it just one video, right? Is it just one video on Disney Channel? Well, no, they're actually paying this individual. They're paying this individual named Sean Altman, right? So this is Sean Altman. And they are paying them as an influencer. So let me share this with you guys here. This is not just one video. Oh, no. If you go over to Sean Altman's TikTok channel, right? And clearly, by the way, this is a man. Let me be very clear. There's a lot. Yeah, this is clearly a man. So it's not just one outfit because everyone's focusing on the mini one. They've got Snow White here. They've got princess outfits. They've got all sorts of other kind of Disney-ish stuff on their page. And this is because Disney is giving them the cash. Disney is paying for this. Disney is down with this. This is something that Disney hired them for. So remember, this is all because, look, Bud Light's misalignment is this. Bud Light's misalignment is, okay, our market is adult men really drinking Bud Light. And we're going to go out here and we're going to put a trans influencer as our spokesperson. So Disney, their primary market is children. And we're going to go over here and we're going to put in this ad Sean Altman. We're going to put a trans influencer. And to be very clear, and let me read this here, Sean Altman identifies as gender fluid, right? As gender fluid. Actually, let me share this other tab here, which is some background information on Sean Altman. So Sean Altman identifies as gender fluid for Disney Style, a social media channel run by the Walt Disney Company that showcases Disney-inspired accessory, comics, cosmetics. You guys have probably seen the Disney bounding stuff, which is fine. Look, people are allowed to do that, allowed to have fun, allowed to do whatever they want in terms of Disney. But Disney selecting them is the issue. And that's what puts them squarely in the camp of Bud Light. So Sean Altman's instruction on how to dress as Minnie Mouse is featured for the video, which was posted on the Twitter account Leftism for You and published to Disney Style's official TikTok account. Sean Altman was born, of course, in Southern California with a BFA in musical theater and based in, guess where? California, Los Angeles. Also, this goes on top of Disney hiring a transgender YouTuber for a significant role in The Acolyte. That is Abigail Thorne, who is being cast as Ensign Eris in The Acolyte. So you've got Disney making all of these very clear decisions to go down this road. And of course, when you look at where does this lead, like look at what's happening with InBev right now. What I want to point out is the latest news out of Bud Light in saying how this really does mirror. So both Bud Light and Disney have chosen to go down the trans influencer road of marketing their company. Well, it failed for Anheuser-Busch, and guess what news we have today? We actually have news that Bud Light is now selling off its beer brands. So if you actually look over here, this is news like just from today that Anheuser-Busch is selling off 8 beer brands. So there's now a sell-off, a fire sale at Bud Light, at rather InBev, because of Bud Light sales. Because Bud Light sales are falling, they're having to sell out. So they're actually selling Shock Top, Blue Point, Breckenridge, Red Hook, Highball, and other brands to the cannabis company Tilray Brands. So they're selling off those. in the midst of the profit. Well, what is this mirror? Like, watch this, guys. Look at how mirror this is. Look at this. So they listed this, but guess what? Guess who else just listed a bunch of things for sale? It's Disney. Disney listed a third of their assets for sale. They listed a third of their assets for sale because Iger's, I think, predicting that, hey, there's going to be some backlash here. We're going to have to sell. We're in the middle of, pretty much wide backlash against this agenda. So we've got to list 1/3 of the company's assets for sale. So this is a big, big parallel between Disney and Bud Light, is both of them are listing their assets for sale. InBev has actually gone ahead and sold them. Disney has listed them. I think these parallels could not be more clear, and I cannot wait for the earnings report to see where that goes, to see the direction that they go in, and how much Disney ultimately has to sell off. Of course, I'll be covering it here on The Legal Mindset, as well as the cases which have not gone in Disney's favor. And I'm very interested to see in the earnings call how those shake out. Now, let me get these super chats here right now, or these member chats. Sierra Tans is a member chat for 4 months, is A+ for the content, but not that TikTok video. Hey, listen, whether you like it or not, that's the reality of what's going on with Disney lately. The reality is that they are going down this slippery slope of not just wokeness, but of getting in with the trans influencers. And look, I tell people, it's like, is this what you want around your kids? Because this is what they are putting out around your kids. If this is okay for you, then all right. But this is not, for most people, and I think most families, if they would not expect that to be on a Disney channel. So you're going to be putting up Disney content, Disney channel, letting that play for your kids. And all of a sudden they're seeing a trans influencer. That's where we're at. And then next we have Incoherent Turd, who says, make involuntary hospitalizations great again. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And Incoherent Turd, appreciate you for that chat, and all my members of the BLM, the Base Legal Mindset. Over in locals, Danielle says he's ruining cute outfits for me. It's sad because the only people they allow to be cute anymore are men dressing as women. Whatever happened to the women that are cute? Whatever happened to women being cute? Right? This is something that I really love about Asia. Is I walk out here any given day, whether I'm in Seoul or Tokyo or here in Bangkok, and I tend to see girls that are cute, right? There's girls that are sexy, there's girls that have good style, but there's a lot of cute girls. Like I'll like turn my head because girls are so cute. It's different. Cute is a totally different thing. And we have really lost out on that, like as a nation and as a culture, saying, hey, let's just go back to girls being cute. Let's promote that, right? That's a positive thing. Why can't we go back to that? It's very, very simple. Of course, then we get the logic. I know I'm cute. Of course, the girls in the chat going crazy here. People saying in Thailand, those are dudes too. Well, you know what's sad? When the dudes look better than the women in Canada and Australia, UK, US, that's really sad. That's really sad. Asian women are both cute and hot. Latinas in Central America too. Yes, this is very true. This is very true, Smoke Jaguar. Yeah, so good to be talking about that online as well. Let's see a couple other things I want to cover here today, and we're going to do a little bit of a smorgasbord, but I wanted to get that bit done to begin with and kind of knock that out, because I think this is a turning point. I think this is an inflection point for the company, and really I do think we are going to see things kind of start riding off the rails as we go into the future. Reply by mail says, women make the best women. That is absolutely correct. That is absolutely correct. Women always make the best women when they act like women and they don't try to be men. Women who act like women, I absolutely love. And by the way, there's a lot of girly girls in the chat. I know that a lot of the girls are out there, and I like to point out, I never say all, I just say most. Once again, they've turned it against those folks. So the girls that want to be in the US, that want to be girly, that want to be feminine, they're kind of shamed, right? They're kind of saying, no, you got to be more manly. You got to be less attractive. We got to make your boobs flatter. This is the way. All right. So another couple things I want to cover on the Disney front. I want to cover the fact that we've got some news here about AI. And I want to talk about this for a second. So Disney has really been big on, obviously, they're in the middle of the strike here, the writer strike, the producer strike. But you see that they always are virtue signaling how much they care about their staff. Oh my God, our staff, our people are so important. But this, at the end of the day, is a cutthroat corporation which is lying through its teeth and which will sacrifice you on the pyre if it needs to save that dime. For all its virtue signaling, for all its woke, propaganda that it puts out for ESG points, you can see here, and this is kind of a really clear example, that as posted here, Disney has created a task force looking at ways AI can be leveraged across the company, according to 3 sources who spoke to Reuters. In the theme parks, AI could enhance customer support or create novel interactions. If you think this is not going to replace employees, this is not going to actively replace employees, I got news for you. This is going to end up replacing people both in the customer service positions, so people who are out there, park attendants, customer service, calls, and as well as people who would have been, let's say, acting or interacting. That's going to go. AI is going to fill those roles, particularly when they can do animatronics or kind of CGI or something else. And that AI can react to you in a very unique way, can kind of come through and actually interact with you in a way that, hey, a cast member might be able to do, but they can just program this script into an AI. Yeah, of course they're going to replace it. Of course they're going to replace that employee. So I'm thinking that you're going to see further cuts here in Disney at the parks themselves. So this is something that's probably coming in the next 2 to 3 years, probably sooner than later, honestly. Probably sooner than later. Now they will paint it as this is innovative, right? This is great, but really what it is they're trying to cut costs, trying to save money because they're losing money. People comment, Bud Light is for sale. Well, who would buy such a tarnished brand? No one is going to come in and buy that brand at this point. I don't think anybody's going to come in right now and buy Bud Light. Just don't think that's the thing. They've damaged that brand to a point where it's really not worth buying. It's almost worth exiling as a brand. R. Johns said, okay, thanks for letting us know what's really going on. That's my point here on this channel, is to tell you the truth and give you kind of the truth behind all of this. So obviously there's what's on the face, there's what's happening, and there's what's really happening. So there's the story you see and then the reality behind that. And I've always been trying to give you guys the real story and the real happenings here regarding Disney and regarding all other topics that you guys are interested in. Let's see here today. And also let me put a poll in the chat regarding the earnings call. I want to know what you guys think. Do you think the earnings will be up or earnings down? So Disney earnings call. So I just want to see what your prediction is here. And actually, I'll say this, not up, but like above expectations or below. That's actually better. I want to see what you guys think in the chat here today, because you guys are on top of this. You guys are all on top of this. Thank you, Leprechaun Gold, for the super sticker, the $10 super sticker. Appreciate that and your support of this channel. Guys, by supporting this channel, you support great content creation by creators like me, my friend Valiant Renegade, WW Pro, all these guys that have helped me on these Disney issues and that stay kind of on top of these Disney issues. This is exactly what I try to cover and try to stay on top of. And I know there's a lot of I know. There's a lot of misinformation out there. So it takes a lot to cover it and give good information. And we're also going to go through some of what we can expect to hear and whether anybody gives a shit. So I do want to go through the article. There's an article about what we can expect to hear on the earnings call and whether or not this is something that any of us should care about at all whatsoever when we're talking tomorrow. So this is definitely something that, hey, I want to know, go through that line by line and see, hey, look, here's what we should expect. And, is it something important? Sorry, I got to close this window here. All right. Thank you very much for that. And Walter Mellon says, if Disney keeps bleeding cash like Bud Light, what do they sell first, property or IP? I think IP. They're going to sell IP first because IP is easier to get rid of. And you can see that when they're looking at selling things like ESPN, other discrete business units, that's more IP. They're going to take their business units that are kind of the smaller business units and sell those off. They're not going to sell real property. Not yet. I think it's real desperate. When they start selling property, that's when that's a sell signal on the stock. That is a huge sell signal. If Disney ever starts selling Central Florida property, you better start people will dump that stock real quick. So let me actually get that as a poll. That's actually a really good poll. So people say the earnings will be below expectation, 91%. Okay. So let's see what IP will Disney sell first? So what will Disney sell first? Let's go here. Let's get a couple options here in the chat. Let's see, ESPN, Pixar. Actually, I want to do the big three. We'll do the big three. Pixar, let's do Star Wars, and Marvel. I'll do those three because I want to remove ESPN from the running here. Actually, I'll just put other. There you go. So will it be Marvel, Star Wars, Disney, or other? All right. And speaking of others and others who are pretty cool in covering these topics, I'm going to bring in a good friend of mine, good friend of the channel. My good friend Jonas J. Campbell.
What's going on, Jonas? Just call me other.
Yes, you're an other. You're an other. I don't know your pronouns, Jonas. You're never on camera, so I really don't know whether you're a zer or a he. I don't know.
Oh man, I was thinking I was
misgender you.
Not Valiant, not Pro. The other one.
The other one. The other one. The other white meat. No, how are you doing today, Jonas?
I'm doing fantastic. Just here getting ready for the big day, the Disney earnings call.
I took a little nap earlier, so I got a couple hours of sleep in. So I am gonna, after the stream, I want to do a locals live stream. Then I'm gonna take a nap, or rather, then I'm gonna sleep. Actually, really sleep. But I am gonna try to make the earnings call. So dude, I am pretty excited.
Got a pretty
for this call.
Yeah, there is so much writing on this earnings call right now. If they can somehow pull it out to where they can raise that stock price, I think that ESPN bet thing yesterday was meant to raise it up a little bit. I mean, it's 89.18 right now.
Ticked up a little bit, right?
Yeah, which that's the highest of all the little ticks they've had. I don't think that it's going to go higher after the earnings call. They've got to announce something really big in order for it to go up. And unless they're saying, oh yeah, Kevin Mayer's going to take over as soon as possible, I don't think it's going to get much higher.
Yeah, I mean, how are you going to do that? I don't know, unless there's some sort of collaboration or some sort of new product that they're going to launch that they've been keeping super secret. I can't imagine, like, for example, like the Apple collaboration, if they have another one of those that they've got in the tank somewhere. Absent something like that, like a real surprise, I doubt that it could tick up.
Yeah,
they're going to beat expectations.
Yeah, they would have to. As far as that Apple, the Tim Cook announcement along with Iger about the Apple Vision Pro, that was a fascinating thing because it was like, yeah, this is a great idea. Most of your customers aren't going to pay $3,500 to be the guinea pig on this technology. So one of them went up a little bit and the other one went down. I have a feeling that Apple went up and Disney went down after that. No financial advice here. I'm not
right. It's just looking at the prices and people also saying, okay, who's going to really profit from this? Who's going to really take the cut on this? It's probably Apple. They've got a better infrastructure pipeline. They've got a better way to monetize off of it, I think, than Disney. So I think they stand to make the money. Yeah, and Grant says here, Apple has the money and they need programming. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a funny thing. They're in the business as a hobby, which is hilarious to say that they're going to run a major studio as a hobby.
When you've got that type of money, and they unlike Disney, Disney's burnt all their funny money, right? They've gone through and they've already done that. Apple hasn't done that, so they've got that sort of money to burn on stuff like that.
Yeah, the other thing is that Disney needs people to give them money, as in large institutions, because they have to do this huge Hulu purchase in January, and they pretty much have to come up with the money for that very soon. No one other than the Wall Street Journal has said anything about the valuation of Hulu, and the latest figure we have on that is about $23 billion with a B. And
I think that's the minimum. I have to go back because I know I've covered this so many times, but there is a minimum contractual threshold.
Yes, the legal
price.
Yeah, the contractual minimum is like $9.02 billion, which we were already
that's for the remaining 33% share. So I think it's valued in the 20 millions, right? And Disney would have to pay $9 billion, billion. We're talking
to get full control. What they're probably going to announce today something more about the Hulu integration between Disney and Hulu. Some of our scoops indicate that they're going to kill Hulu as an app eventually and just make it all Disney Plus, which is a little bit of a problem, I think, with the conservative right, who is offended by the name Disney right now, and not so offended by the name Hulu. So they might be headed the wrong direction there, being a little too confident in ignoring their own brand.
I completely agree. I think the move would be to say, hey, we're going to keep this as a discrete business unit. It's going to run over here. It's going to do its own thing. We're going to separate this off, instead of bringing this into the Disney fold.
Yeah. And
as I've said, the Disney fold has a lot of baggage right now. And we just went over, I don't know if you've seen this, but the first half of the show, I showed the certain trans gender fluid activist in the Minnie Mouse dress. That is, I think, going right down the Dylan Mulvaney route.
Right, and that was on one of Disney's direct social media accounts, correct?
Disney Style. That was on Disney Style. So I mean, it was them actively promoting that individual.
What an interesting place we're in now that did not make major headlines. That just shows how far down the path we've gone, that no one was surprised by that. It was just, no, here is the first time we see them actively promoting to grown-ups, not sneaking it into kids content, which if you want to know more about that, guys, go check out my channel. I'll give you a quick run through. Just watch my Everything Woke About Disney Junior playlist. Shameless plug.
And I know, and Jonas, I actually had this conversation today because this was something that it started on Barbie, but it was a conversation I had with my friend who may be in the chat today, Ben. I think Ben is in the chat. And I was, we were talking about he was asking me, why are grown men watching, stuff like Barbie and in kids shows and stuff like that? Why are grown men watching this? I'm like, well, they're watching it because for the longest time, especially with kids stuff, right? Maybe not so much with Barbie, but we're talking about the cartoons, because you should know what your kids are watching. Just because it's a kid's program doesn't mean you can just, it's a kid's program, I turn it on and I walk away and it's not made for me, so whatever's in it is okay. It's like, no, you need to know what's being communicated to your children. It doesn't make you weird for watching these shows. People say, it's weird that adult men are watching children's shows.
I agree with that. I agree that it is very weird that I have a channel that is specifically focused around me looking for Marxist ideology in children's entertainment. It is the strangest thing. As a man, did you ever think you would be doing, like a year ago or 2 years ago, if I said, Jonas, you're going to be watching children's stuff for money and putting it on the internet and reviewing it? No, I would not have, or at least not things that are recent children's stuff, like old Disney stuff. There's something to be said about the classic artistry of animation and all that kind of stuff, or the historical aspects of all of that. Yeah, I've always wanted to have a pop culture channel on that, and unfortunately, so for instance, Disney. By
the way, the history of animation. Let me just be really clear. It's fascinating. I love it. I find it very interesting. I like this. I'm a history guy. I love history. I love culture. I love to know where it came from. I love, people taking influences, positive influences from other cultures like Studio Ghibli, taking those references.
Oh,
bringing
absolutely.
those over. I think that's fantastic. But, when it comes into, okay, now we're going to try to program the children.
Right.
Because we know that children are impressionable. We know that they can't rationalize like we can as adults. They just see, right? They don't rationalize it in the same way. So they're specifically targeting these individuals, not adults, these children with these messages.
Right. And, to get some quick for instances of what is in preschool content on Disney Junior right now. First of all, you got Gonzo, who is basically trans. Or a trans drag queen, which somebody said, is that really what it is? It says, let me describe what happens.
Yeah, people put here, James S. The Gonzo Muppet trans thing is next level. Can I pull this up? Is this something I will find if I just pull up here real quick?
Are you talking about everything woke about? Yeah, Gonzarella is the name of the eepisode.
Gonzarella. Got it.
They got awards for it, so they're technically proud of it. There's also Firebuds, which has kids that also have talking fire trucks and police cars and things like that. They got 2 gay moms, which, that's not the end of the world, but the gay moms also have gay fire trucks and ambulances that live in the same house.
Just really funny. As the Gonzarella for you guys. So, the full transformation. And this is, once again, you see, like, just looking at it, like, I need to say, this is kids content. This is not made for adults.
Yeah.
The animation style, the way it is, this is 100% targeted at kids.
What's the really weird one to me is the Baymax cartoon, which is not specifically labeled as Disney Junior, but Baymax is pretty much a Disney Junior character. He's this big, cuddly, whatever balloon man.
Right.
And
androgynous, gender fluid balloon man.
Yeah. Well, so they have the Baymax cartoon, and it's all these little vignettes of him helping people. And one of them is helping a little girl through her first menstrual cycle. And forces his way into a locked bathroom to go help her. Don't worry, guys, it's an all gender restroom. It's completely fine. That shouldn't raise any eyebrows. Or there's an episode where if you read it correctly, if you read the dramatic arc, there's a guy who appears to be allergic to not being gay.
Allergic to not being gay?
Yeah, go watch my Baymax episode.
Okay, guys.
So
by the way, let me share this real quick. This is Jonas J. Campbell's channel. Obviously, see, I'm subscribed because I know what's going on, but we can check that out. Check out his videos. Check out his Baymax videos.
Yeah, Transformers. There's everything. A non-binary Transformer.
Yeah, here's the Baymax video, right here, right?
Yeah.
Great content. And also just exposing that it's in everything. Like, it's just in everything. Like WandaVision, Transformers, Madagascar, Star Wars, Miraculous, like Dino Ranch, like it's Muppet Babies everywhere.
By the way, there's a bunch of Dino Ranch episodes that dropped on Disney Plus today, and Disney did not put that one. The last time they put it all on the splash page. We've got more Dino Ranch. Now they're like, now that adoptive 2 gay adoptive T-Rex dads episode has gotten a little bit more flack, they're like, oh yeah, there's more episodes. It's way down in the news section. You kind of have to look for it. So.
You gotta search for it now. Yeah. They've made it a little bit harder, but it's still there.
So how long do you want to talk about how creepy kids content is at Disney?
Oh, I mean, no, it's just shocking to me that it's like gone that far, right? That it's fallen that far. It's just, to me, it's just really crazy. Let me read these 2 super chats real quick. Nova says, how do companies implement ESG when it's directly against shareholder values? Well, they don't view it as against shareholder values because they say, look, our company is rated based on this. So in order to keep our stock high, which is protecting, once again, I don't agree with this. Let me be very clear. I am devil's advocating like a good lawyer, right? And I'm trying to argue their side. This is a shit reasoning, but I'm going to give you their reasoning, right? So look, if you go to Yahoo Finance, right? So you go to Yahoo Finance and you look up Disney, for example. And this is something like anybody, you guys can go out there and do that right now. Just go to Yahoo Finance, look at Disney. You can look at, stock price here, and we'll pop this over, right? We'll pop this open here so you guys see this, and we can go through this little adventure together, right? So obviously, it's in the shareholder interest to keep the price up, right? To keep the stock price up. Well, you see, as part of that, they have listed sustainability. So you have to, and by the way, Disney has fallen because they're in moderate controversy level now because their social and governance risk score. This is probably, by the way, they dropped after they got into the writer's strike issues.
Right.
So it wasn't a DeSantis fight. It was the writer's strike issues because they're not woke enough on that. So they've dropped in the score a little bit because of that, but they were very top rated. But their argument is, look, we're rated on this. We're ranked on this. So in order to protect our stock price, we have to stay good on this. We have to stay high ranked on this. That's what their argument is. Now, it's a shit argument because by doing that, by staying high ranked on that, they're ultimately damaging their profitability, their market share, right? They're damaging like real metrics, not like Fugazi metrics. But they've got this fake metric that they can say, oh, no, we're doing it for this, and this protects the share price.
Right.
They've got that cover for it.
The predecessor to this was corporate social responsibility, which, you know, there was a case to be made. Okay, don't burn down entire forests that you don't own, because that's an externality, but it's also a public good and things like that. And there's a case to be made. Okay, we don't want to bring down government intervention, but that very easily got shifted over to, well, we need to always be focused on doing good in the world. We need to always look like we're doing, and I'm doing air quotes on good here. We always need to look like we're doing good in the world. Now, I was in an ethics class and they put up Milton Friedman as the negative on corporate social responsibility. And I mean, the guy, just as always, nails it. He said, if you are doing corporate social responsibility with someone else's money, then you are stealing money from them. Allow them the right to do with their own money as they please, because your primary obligation is to the shareholders in any way that doesn't affect the long-term health of the company. If you do anything other than that, then you are literally stealing from the company and therefore the shareholders.
Yeah. I mean, I just think it's gotten so far away from having responsibility to the shareholders for profitability, for raw profitability, right? Because that's the ultimate, to me, if I look at, okay, shareholders, right? They want to make money. They want to get a return on their investment. They want to get a dividend. If you're not providing that for the company and you're actively taking decisions which you know will have these results, well, yeah, you're failing in that responsibility, right? You're shirking that responsibility.
And you look at the people who are doing well in this space right now. Warner Brothers and Comcast had nice, calm earnings call. Both of them have content that we would find objectionable on some way as far as kids' content goes. But they're not Disney. They don't have this veneer of magic that they try to throw all over everything.
When Disney has, in a way, Disney has become the leader in this, right? They needed to be the number one. See, where I would have taken the point, look, if Disney wanted to be woke, here's how they should have done it. They should have tiptoed out, right? They should have let other people be on the bleeding edge and then creep, it's sort of that, window, the Overton window, right? It's like just shift slowly as the Overton window shifts. Okay, whatever. That's what all corporations have done. That's what news media has done. That's what mainstream media has done. But Disney decided, no, we have to be the leader in this. We, a organization which, primarily is supposed to be targeted, really marketing to children, younger adults, are going to be the leader in this charge of a particular political agenda, particular programming. I mean, I think that's really the thing that stands out to me. Let the smaller people do it. Let, some other shops do that, and then see how it goes for them.
Right. And yet you have to emphasize here with Disney, except for National Geographic, which is like so bizarre that's on Disney Plus. They don't have anything on Disney Junior, Disney XD, or Disney Channel that is targeted at anyone above the age of 14. So and the Marvel movies are all PG-13, I guess. So there's a very difficult argument to be made that this is technically aimed at adults. The other thing is that we talked about is,
well, they can make an argument about the millennial adult children, right? Because there's a certain level of like millennial and Gen Z as well, right? The adult children, the Disney adults, and they can say, oh, well, this is targeted at Disney adults, because it's not large. They also don't have money. They're mostly broke, but that is a certain amount of people.
Yeah, and there's also this weird Arrested Development in Western civilization right now. So yeah, like the Owl House. I've been asked over and over again to review the Owl House. I will review the Owl House. Yes, there's gay couples in a Disney XD show, which puts it, I guess, around the 10-year-old range. 10-year-old gay couples.
Right.
But the audience for that show are grown men who are into it. it's a whole different thing. It used to be weird. Like bronies was a thing. A grown
Yeah,
men
I
fans
mean,
of My Little
bronies,
Pony.
bronies was weird, but I mean, look, I had a little bit of sympathy for like the folks that were like autistic or socially awkward. Look, and like that was their one social bonding outlet. Like I have some sympathy for that. I have very little sympathy for, of course, I don't have sympathy for like the degenerate like XXX side of bronies, right? Because that of course exists. Like for everything
Right.
else, the internet, right? It exists. That I don't that I disavow, right?
Right.
But
And as a father, there are
right.
things that I've watched that are like, okay, if I want to watch something with my kids, I know which Barbie series is the one that has snuck in
Right.
some actually good jokes. Life in the Dream
Exactly.
House is funnier than all the other Barbie series, but it's still a Barbie series.
Yes.
Oh
Exactly.
my.
Exactly. And you know what it is, kind of where the intent is, right? So like you've got that kind of queued up and you kind of know about that.
Right.
So one thing I want to go through here, if you have a little bit of time, is some of the expected talking points from the earnings call today. And I wanted to quickly just go over whether or not I think they'll be a big deal or not, right? This is actually from, I don't know if you've seen this one. This is from all ears. This is kind of a rundown of all the major points that we can expect to see today.
I love that all ears is covering this.
Yes, it's freaking fantastic. You know what's funny? They've been forced to cover it. Even the pro Disney people have been forced to cover it because we've just been making so much noise on this. Like, yourself, Valiant Renegade, WW Pro, me, my channel. We've been making so much noise and the mainstream media is picking up on it and actually covering it that that now they've got to cover it because they know it's going to get clicks. They're looking over they're like, oh shit, these people are getting like 100,000 views. These guys are getting, just crazy videos. Videos are going wild over here. People are tuning into this. We've got 775 live viewers on this.
Wow.
Yeah. By the way, guys, smash that like button and let's get to 500 likes. And also, I want to say real quickly, thank you to Bella Stella for the 10 gift memberships. Appreciate that. It really helps the channel. Thank you so much. And Vinzinger sent a member chat. aka El Otaku, aka the Weed Pillar. Can you ask Hotep Jesus to appear in Anime 101? Sure. Do I have to educate? I forget. Does he know about anime? Do I have to educate him on him, or does he already like anime? Maybe I'll ask him. But he's a good friend of mine. Brian Sharp's a good friend.
Oh,
of mine,
cool.
So I'll ask him.
I didn't know you knew Hotep Jesus. He's got a great
I know.
Twitter.
I know many folks that people would be surprised that I know. So yeah, let's jump right into this and like what they're bringing in. So okay, the new CFO, right? So back in June, Disney's longtime senior vice president and chief financial officer, Christy McCarthy, announced she'd be stepping down and taking a family medical leave of absence. On July 1st, Kevin Lansbury took the role of interim CFO before taking over for McCarthy. Lansbury was executive vice president and CFO of Disney Parks, Experiences, and Products. Okay. I mean, frankly, okay, let me just put it. Who cares? Like, why would this move the yardstick? I don't think a CFO is really going to change the direction of the company. It doesn't really, to me.
Well, yes and no, other than the fact that it solidifies Iger, because Christine McCarthy was probably the most capable person of pushing Iger out of the C-suite at this point, which it was probably wasn't likely anyways, but she was probably the most likely person to resist him because right now the board.
Could you call her maybe the heir apparent? Maybe the person who would have been the person to step up and take the role?
I think she thought she was, and if anyone is to read ulterior motives here or a secondary cause underneath the primary cause, what is that Japanese concept, like the duck in the water? Where the duck looks stable above the water and the feet are going crazy underneath. She was probably thinking that she was next in line for CEO. And if there was any wind of change that no, we're not doing that. We're in fact going to extend Iger for another 2 years. Those announcements were all very close together. Of course, from Iger's side, he just said, well, we just lost our CFO. Of course, I need to extend for 2 years.
Yeah. And I think Iger always intended to stay. When he took the seat back, he intended to stay in power for a while.
Yes.
Not just, come in and, come in, fix it and bounce out. Iger intended to hang out for a while. He wasn't intending to say, okay, Christine, you can take over now. Here you go. And by the way, that would have checked, one of their female, because that's of course one of the things, like the female CEO led companies. That would have been an ESG point for them right there.
That's true. That's
That I
true.
guess they're missing out on now.
Very misogynist, those ESG
Very,
points.
very
Or
misogynist.
misandrist, sorry.
Misandrist, yes, there you go. Yeah, I love how, by the way, in the Barbie movie, when they're doing the review, and I think they were talking to Margot Robbie, she's like, "What's the opposite of misogyny?" And I'm like, "Oh, I love you, Margot. That you don't even know the word. That you don't even know, like, there's a clear word for that, but you
Right.
don't know it. It's great." Oh, by the way, I saw this in chat. Law Nerd Clips says my channel just got automatically demonetized for reused content because it's time for vacation. Hey, Law Nerd Clips, just so you know, fully support your channel and those out there that are fighting. We all fight the long fight against copyright strikes, demonetization. I actually, on my birthday stream, I got copyright claimed for like a 30 seconds of audio, of copyrighted audio. And because it was 8 hours, I couldn't remove it.
Ooh.
So yeah, now of course the super chats are still good, but of course the ad revenue kind of gets eaten by that.
Yeah,
and that was a pretty decent sized one. So we all take these hits. We all deal with YouTube's BS. Just say that we're here with you. We support you, and I have the back of any sort of creator who's fighting that fight against YouTube and
absolutely
for monetization. Okay, so Disney Plus. So let me read this here. So we can count on hearing some Disney Plus direct-to-consumer updates. In previous earning calls, Disney has shared its Disney Plus subscriber numbers, which have been a little all over the place. Disney had 157.8 million subscribers. We last heard April 1st, down from 161.8 subscribers in December. Will we see their subscriber count continue to fall? We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, they will, and they'll blame it on the India Premier League's situation. They've got at least one more quarter that they can blame it on that. They weren't making any money there, anyways. I think that is cover for a stagnation on the content that they should be proud of. Secret Invasion, I don't think did them any favors. That barely registered on the Nielsen's. It is just ostensibly a horrible show where they made.
I mean, I think it's getting bombed, right? I mean, essentially everybody's reviewing that is, and justifiably so, I believe, right?
Yeah, even the people who aren't offended by all the MCU stuff, watching like Screen Rant and some of those major pop culture sites that are all for all the ladies taking over as the ridiculously overpowered superheroes. Even they were like, what happened to the MCU? And admitting that maybe they weren't so happy with what's been going on over the last few years themselves, even though they had to toe the line. Watching Ryan Airy from Screen Rant pivot to how much he loves the horrible Star Trek Strange New Worlds has been hilarious.
Yes. And the thing is, I think people are finally coming around on these shows, and just like, and even the reviewers, I think even the critics are coming around and being like, yeah, this is just bad, right? Because we finally saw it with Secret Invasion. The critics panned, because typically what we saw the cycle was the critics would have glowing reviews and they'd call the fans and the people watching actually horrible people, misogynists, bigots, yada yada. They'd go through that whole thing. But with Secret Invasion, I think the one thing I think was different is you actually saw the mainstream media, the critics saying, no, this is bad.
Yeah, Variety. Variety came out after them too. And you can put that on Iger. If Iger is low in popularity, they feel free reign to insult everything that Disney makes.
Absolutely. Okay, next they say revenue. So we're expecting new revenue. We expect to see, which by the way is probably what Valiant, myself, I think we're going to really be paying attention to the revenue numbers, because the dollars and cents are where we all kind of come down to. Bottom line is, okay, is this making money, right?
Right.
So we're expecting Disney executives to comment on the revenue from parks, experience, and products. Following an unusually slow summer, it will be interesting to see how much money the company made despite smaller crowds this year. This is I love the way they put it so lightly, right? They just like kid gloves that.
These people would know too. These all ears, they're at the parks. They know how light the numbers are.
Yes. They know that, like, I mean, if this is a photo right here from the parks, it's like, look, I lived in Orlando for almost a decade. I've never seen this during the summer.
Yeah.
Ever.
If I didn't dislike Disney so much, this would be a great time to visit the parks.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And by the way, living in Orlando, I always tried to go during the low seasons. I was like, oh, there's a low season, or there's a random time when no one wants to go. I'm gonna go. I had a pass. I had an annual pass, which I got from a corporate client. And I could pop over there whenever I wanted to pop over there. And I would go like at times when it was cloudy or rainy or whatever, like kind of hot, so people didn't want to come out. I would do that just to avoid the crowds, because I don't like waiting 2 hours for a ride or for a restaurant or whatever else, or for some Dole Whip. That wasn't a thing I wanted to do. I would have gone on that day like this, but nowadays I won't give them my dollar. Not to mention, and by the way, shout out to Josh Harris for this on Twitter, but I wanted to show this one. The prices, like if you look at the inflation of prices, this is a great graph, and I give him full credit for this graph here that I'm going to show you guys. But this graph, just to me, is so shocking about the inflation in the prices, right? So this is from starting in, and I'll move us over here on the side. Starting in 1971, where you had a ticket price, sub $60. And now 2021, we're talking about $159 for a single day pass.
I remember those $66 days in the 90s. Oh man, that was like,
Yes.
oh yeah, I can deal with this, even with even reverse inflation or whatever you want to call it.
Well, it's 3 decades really, because if you look at it, it's like between 1971 and 2001. That this is, okay, we're fluctuating anywhere between the 50s, even down to 35 in the 1980s when we had some, inflationary issues there. But to $73, right? So that was kind of like a predictable range. But then you see in the 2000s, just this spike in this doubling of the price, right? It's like a Bitcoin halvening here, where you've got it all the way up here to 159. And frankly, in my opinion, Jonas, there's no end in sight. I think this is going up.
I agree, and we can blame Bob Chapek a little bit for this, because he was running a cruel social experiment to see what the price elasticity of the of a Disney park experience was. Right. I think Pro said that if you wanted to send 4 people to the park right now, you're easily paying $1,000 to get them in the park, as opposed to 1991, where it would have cost less than $200. Another graph from Harris. I don't know exactly.
By the way, just to show you guys, so the green line is the inflation rate. So for people wondering about like, oh, it's just keeping up with inflation. No, if they'd kept up with inflation, they would have kept it at this rate, right?
Shoot.
So it's not inflation only.
The other thing that Harris did, which was absolutely fantastic, he's got a video with Pro that, if it hasn't come out, it should be coming out soon, that compares the amount of entertainment in the parks has decreased by a factor of like half. So there's less things you have less things that you can do in the park, and they cost 3 or 4 times as much as they did in the 90s.
Exactly. And that's the whole thing. It's like you can do less and pay more. Like, and the rides you're going on are just, frankly, in most cases, they're lower quality. There's lower quality rides than the rides you used to have back in the day. Man, I remember. Do you remember 2000 Leagues Under the Sea? Were you ever able to go on that ride?
I was never able to go on it, but I've seen about as much footage of it as you can without actually having been on it.
A fun one when I was a kid.
Yeah. That was always shut down in Orlando by the time I was old enough to know what it was.
Perpetually locked down.
Yeah.
SAG-AFTRA a writer strike. So and this is the biggest one, and frankly. Okay, I'll just read what they're saying. Hollywood is currently at a standstill as both actors and writers are on strike. Notably, Bob Iger commented on the possibility of strike, stating this is the worst time to add disruption.
That's about the most charitable quote they could have attributed to Iger. I'll talk while you work out your whatever.
Yeah, sorry, I've been trying to cough.
You want to take a drink?
Yeah, okay. Actually, infamous... give me your opinion on this while I go grab a drink of water here real quick.
So Iger and his CNBC interview, I thought he did a great job, but what the media really latched onto is his aw shucks attitude in saying that the actors, he felt like the actors were being unreasonable in their demands, which one of the things that you generally don't want to do is tell actors, the people who have the faces that people supposedly like, that they are the unreasonable ones, and hand it right there over to a studio head to become the villain of the situation. I did not see it going as badly as it has gone for Iger, but from that point on, it was article after article from Hollywood Reporter and Variety and Deadline, and even Wall Street Journal had like op-ed after op-ed, and also the non-opinion side all coming after Iger. All of a sudden you have,
because he stepped out of line. He stepped out of line with the party line. The party line was you have to support the workers, support the strikers. You know, unions are right. That's the party line. And he got away from that.
Yeah, the veil dropped, and all of a sudden they're like, yeah, we are going to call you woke to your face.
Well, and then Ron Perlman's going to give him a death threat, pretty much, and say, I'm going to burn any. Which, I mean, come on. I mean, that was unhinged, and it kind of shows you the unhinged of the woke side of the force. You know, this is why you don't go there, because you just literally, when you go there, you can never please them. They're never going to be pleased enough.
Right. There is no redemption.
Writers, no, there's no, like, no corporation can be good enough. They're all like an evil, but like a better evil.
Right. If wokeness is a religion, it is a religion without a right of redemption in any way.
I mean, what question could you think they could ask them during the thing? I mean, I guess they might ask them something like, are there any developments on ending the strike? Maybe that would be a good question they could ask.
Well, the one of the callers on the Warner Brothers Discovery call just said, "How long are you anticipating the writer strike, the strikes to go on?" And David Zaslav very matter of factly says, we are in our gap accounting for this. We're expecting September to be the date that things start to let up, and we're planning according to this being done in September. I don't think it's really being done in September, and that they probably are going to enact some rings of defense on that soon. That being said, it's not so bad for the Walt Disney Company right now to have a nice quiet period where they cannot make anything and to have none of their actors able to comment on what's about to come out.
I think that would be the best, is just literally gag them all, say, okay, to shut up, like Rachel Ziegler, like, obviously, you know, there's news. I don't know whether this has been confirmed yet, but there's news about the canceling of Snow White, or rather the redrafting of Snow White, because of her statements, because you know, especially with the Gal Gadot interview there.
Yeah,
so
I don't see that one getting canceled, but stranger things have happened. I think they could probably bear to offend Rachel Ziegler, but probably not Gal Gadot at this point. That one is, you know, I mentioned that to Valiant, like, what if they did cancel it? What if they put it on Disney Plus? And he mentioned all of these, these things that would be working against them, like Bob Chapek putting Black Widow on Disney Plus during the COVID pandemic showed how much trouble you get into, even under the most favorable circumstances for that, and they still had to send some massive payment to Scarlett Johansson to make it go away, and then assure people that
she sued them. Did she not? Yeah, I mean, if
she did, and they settled for something.
They settled.
I'm thinking it's probably something in the 7 or 8 figure range.
Yes, it's millions. It's not.
Yeah. But I don't think they're going to try that again with a Disney live action remake. The only Disney live action remake that's been straight to Disney Plus was the very creepy Lady and the Tramp.
Well, hold on though. They may have, because I don't know, and of course I'm not privy to it, but they may have rewritten their contracts to kind of factor for that after they went through the Black Widow thing. Said, okay, for future productions, we're going to add in a clause that, hey, we have the option to, since Disney Plus, and that's something that, you know, we maintain the optionability. Now, I haven't seen their contracts. I would love to get my hands on one of their contracts.
That would be amazing.
That would be fantastic if I could do that. But I could see the lawyers thinking that, because that's how lawyers think. That's how we think. You know, as corporate counsel, I was in-house counsel. After we fuck up, we try not to have another fuck up.
Right. You want to have clear language for what happens in the case of something going south again.
Yes, exactly. Let me get some super chats. Douglas Fun says, I enjoy signing MLD channel. MLD, look a manlet next to you. Most people look like a manlet next to me. Douglas Fun. Appreciate that.
Andrew is 7 feet tall.
6'6", 2 meters is pretty big almost.
Oh, yeah.
Troy Neenan says, gee, BlackRock is purposely pushing the woke Disney, destroying the stock price with the agenda, and BlackRock is a potential buyer. Interesting, huh? It's funny how that works out.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Larry Fink, I think, is nuts, and he really likes the current American administration, and he's big in. I think he genuinely believes he is doing something good in the world. It's also very self-serving to him. That being said, I think that BlackRock is larger than Apple as far as how much they control. Not the size of the literal company itself, but the assets that they manage are larger than Apple at the moment, if I'm not mistaken.
Sure, yeah. And by the way, it's actually a good comment here from comment that Disney Cruise Lines actually made about 1.6 billion. Yeah, and guess who helped get those unblocked? Who helped cruise lines actually sail? That is Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida. So, once again, people don't think back of who's doing the work to actually help Disney make money, right? Which states are actually remaining open for business, right? That's Florida, right? Not over there, Gavin, in California. And that gives us a good transition to the political conflict, which is, of course, my bread and butter. Talking about self-serving, I would hope, for my sake and my grifting sake, that we are able to hear more about what they think will be the outcome in these lawsuits. I would love for them to opine on that, because they've taken nothing so far. They've taken nothing but L's. And to me, the writing is on the wall for them taking a giant L in this case. So to me, I am ready to see them say, hey, hey, we're trying to resolve this, or we're going to look for someone to resolve. That would be fantastic. I don't think they'll do it. I think they'll say we have a great case. This is discrimination, blah, blah, blah. But I do want to see the copium that they may come up with.
Yes,
on the earnings call.
On the annual call, I think he compared himself to MLK. Iger did when he was asked about this issue, and then he lost it again on the last quarterly call. So if he loses his mind again, it instead of two flukes becomes just the pattern of, if you mention Ron DeSantis to Bob Iger, he loses his mind, which I think is a pretty good vote for DeSantis, if I do say so myself.
Yeah. And once again, guys, I always say, look, you can feel like you feel about DeSantis on the national level, right? That's one side. But on this specific concrete issue, specifically involving the district, Florida law, Florida is in the right, including DeSantis. But this isn't really about DeSantis. It's about Florida law versus Disney. It's really about the state versus Disney, and the state powers versus the corporate powers. So in that case, absolutely 100%, Florida is in the right and not Disney.
Yep.
And then, okay, here we go. The Iger contract extension. That'll be interesting if Bob Iger comments on his own contract. Like this is, by the way, the last thing they mention here, right? So
that's it.
This is the news that they're going to talk about. Like, okay, so on July 12th, it noticed that Bob Iger agreed to stay on through 2026.
Right.
About 2 years longer. So he's going to be here for a while. This will be Iger's first earnings call since his extended contract, but remains to be seen if Iger will comment on the decision. Well, what the hell does it matter? I mean, I guess it matters in terms of, okay, he's not going to be replaced, somebody else with a different vision. So this is the track that Disney is going to remain on through 2026. I think, if anything, that's bad, but there's not much to say about it. I don't know what you think about it.
Yeah, there's nothing to say at this point. And his consulting contract has been re-upped as well. So he technically doesn't, he'll leave as CEO if he doesn't extend it again, because he's extended his contract like 8 or 9 times, more than enough to stop counting. But he has a 5-year consulting contract that goes to the very end of 2031. So best of luck to whoever replaces him, because he'll be in the background again, waiting to come back in. The dude, those jokes about Walt's cryogenically frozen head being somewhere in the parks.
Yes.
Bob Iger is going to be kept alive by some strange trick of Imagineering, I'm sure. So the thing,
he's going to throw out Walt's head and replace it with his own. I mean, that's the whole go there. Just going to swap it out, because I mean, he's pretty much killing Walt's legacy and replacing that with his own. Right.
Yeah. So this doesn't mention the box office, the horrible box office. This doesn't mention the Hulu purchase.
Nope.
This barely mentions the fact that the parks are failing right now and are forecasted to continue to decline. I mean, kinda it's in there, but it's not. It's barely even a full paragraph. The fact that ESPN is now open to sports booking, which I'm not a fan of that. I don't think that is something that the Walt Disney Company needs to engage in.
How so? How do they open themselves up to that? Because that's, I guess, one piece of, I guess, news that I guess I missed.
As I understand it, Penn Entertainment, or whatever the name of that is going to be allowed to use the ESPN brand for their sports booking. And
okay. Oh yeah, ESPN Penn Entertainment is like a $2 billion sports betting deal. Dave Portnoy buys back Barstool. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's not literally Disney doing it. They're just renting out one of the names that they own. ESPN is not technically a Disney brand, but not for lack of their trying. Nobody that's interested in the Disney brand is interested in the ESPN brand.
Right. So, yeah, and I guess it's something that, look, I agree with that from a standpoint of, hey, if you're something that's like marketing to children, and like that's part of your overall umbrella, maybe gambling shouldn't be part of it, right?
Yeah.
It's just, but once again, I mean, we're a far ways away from that when they're, pushing these activists and these messages in their children's programming. So yeah. I think gambling is like wholesome by comparison to some of these things that it sounds weird, right? But like in a weird freakish way, gambling is like, oh, isn't that quaint?
It's clear where they're trying to corrupt you with gambling, as opposed to the children's propaganda.
Yeah, I mean, I think even gamblers know gambling is addictive. They're like, yeah, this is addictive. I have I have a problem. I still go and do it, but most people will identify that.
And generally speaking, it's better regulated because there are warnings at the bottom of the screen that say, if you have a problem, here's the number to call. Whereas when they try to make Gonzo trans, there's no thing at the bottom of it that says puberty blockers do not literally pause puberty. Surgeries result in, I'm not going to try to go that far with
a morbidity rate that is not 0.
Yes, and the self-deletion rate that is the same or grows after medical transition. They're not going to put those kind of warning labels on there. But gambling, yeah, they're fine putting the warning labels on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It occurs to me in the 90s, and again, I don't mean to reference the 90s over and over again. It's just
the 90s were a great time. Look, I grew up during the 90s. I'm an 80s kid, but I grew up during the 90s. Like born in the 80s, but grew up in the 90s, and I just like, was this a different like universe that I lived in? I mean, it really does seem completely black and white, because every memory I have, especially of Disney, was so wholesome and included none of this stuff.
Well, the thing I would point out is Joe Camel. The cigarette smoking camel that was on so many Camel ads. They got rid of him because of the legislation that made it very clear that when you give something dangerous to a cartoon character, it makes little kids really want to do that dangerous thing. And they don't think about it as dangerous. They just see, oh, it's a cigarette smoking camel. That's awesome.
Yeah, the camels do it. I can do that too. X-Wing, what's up, X-Wing? Good to see you, brother. Says they can open sports books on how poorly their movies were performed. I'd buy that for $1. God, if we could do over-unders on how badly their movies would fail and bet on that, like Vegas just opens up a Disney fail book, that would be fantastic. That'd be amazing. I'd love that.
I am not for gambling, but if I did, I'd probably put some money against the Marvels. That's there's no way that movie is going to make its money back.
I mean, it's gonna be great because we're gonna be able to cover it here and cover this their failures in live, 4K.
Of course, I would have lost money on Barbie, so there's that. So
I was one who always said, look, you can go into whatever we can have this debate, this philosophical debate on Barbie, whether Barbie was accidentally based or woke or whatever. We can have that debate. But I could have told you Barbie was going to make money because they did not put a lot of that stuff on the face. Yep. And girls around the world own Barbies. Like I said, I'm here in Asia. People just go to that movie because it's Barbie and they owned Barbies, right? Like they're not going to it for the messaging. They're going for it just because they grew up with Barbies. So.
And also they kept the budget at a reasonable level. The movie only cost $100 million. And now I'm hearing Gran Turismo is actually a really good movie. I don't know why they buried the headline on this one. Noah Baumbach directed Gran Turismo, the trailers make it look like it's a silly little video game movie, but
It does look like kind of silly, like with like Dave Harbour kind of being like, "You're a bitch made gamer," you know, and
in
and
Orlando
kinda going
Bloom,
through
he's
that.
kind of all over the map as far as quality level, you know.
Sure.
But I'm hearing from a lot of people that it's actually a really good movie.
Okay. Okay. No, I played Gran Turismo growing up, like on my PlayStation, so I remember that. You know, I would go see a movie if it was good.
Yeah.
You know, because frankly, my standard for movies, I love movies. I love going to the movies. I love, you know, the movie experience. My standard is just it's a decent movie.
Hmm.
Um, this is from my mod here, Don Baku says the weekly call options on Disney are betting the stock will stay under 90 at the end of the week.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So we've already got some market kind of weighing in here with the earnings call. So that's very interesting where the people are making their bets. The people with money are making their bets because you can't manipulate that as much. And
Yeah. So as we understand it, let's see. Pixar, they haven't announced anything about Pixar shutting down, but Elemental
Oh,
did.
so by the way, there's a poll in the chat. So I polled them which unit would they sell first, Pixar, Star Wars, or Marvel. The number one was Pixar.
Yeah.
So Pixar, and then Star Wars, and then last Marvels. And I would probably agree with that ranking of the big three.
Yeah, I think you're right. Pixar, while that would be a huge blow to Iger's ego, in reality, that was a talent acquisition for Ed Catmull and also John Lasseter. Glory to be his name, John Lasseter. You know, the whole reason that the company was successful for so long under Iger's tenure, and then he had to walk him out the door for hugging too much. Like, seriously, you can't have him just say, "I'm sorry, I won't do that anymore," and then send him back to work.
That to me blows my mind. Hugging too much, like we're there. This is where we're at right now. You know, you're okay with the dresses and all that other stuff, but hugging too much is a problem. Come on.
Yeah. Okay. So he gets a little squirrely when he drinks too much. Here's a solution. Maybe don't have alcohol at work events.
Pretty clear solution.
How
By the way,
crazy is that?
that's what most of our law firms do. I mean, law firms just have open bars and everything else, and of course, they don't do that anymore. Now, listen, I do wish I was around back in the old days. You know, the 70s and 80s when these things were a thing. When like they had the company bar. You know,
The
wouldn't it be
idea,
nice to saunter over and have a drink and have fun? But you know,
like Mad Men, the idea, like I've never seen anybody drink water at the office on this show.
No.
Every scene, just pour another drink.
Absolutely, like 100%. You know, and like that would be amazing. That would be fantastic. But of course, they had to ruin it for us because there's too many issues. You know, too many fights here. Yeah, I would love that. Yeah, Jenny said here, love the Age of Madman. Yeah, I would. I would love that Age of Madman. But we're not going back there. By the way, we're not. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. 2 super chats here. 50 from Leprechaun Gold. Wow. Thank you so much. Appreciate it with the Shiba Inu explosion. Thank you so much for supporting this channel. It really helps me price this content and keep coming here day after day for you guys. So thank you so much, Leprechaun Gold. Music and Fiction for 5 says, I've heard that ABC television is also up for grabs and that Liberty Media, John Malone, is interested in picking it up. I haven't heard this, but let me type this in and do a little research right now. Have you heard this one?
I've heard the first part. I hadn't heard the second part, but you know, conservatives are old school in that way. They do like the older outlets because there's a lot of an older audience for it. So, you know, it jives.
Yeah.
Like the Great American Theme Park that is hiring old Disney talent. A lot of that is a nostalgia play, which is
that the Oklahoma one?
Yes. Yeah. The one they're putting $2 billion towards what is going to be the largest campground in the United States. And also this, I hope it's a next level theme park. I mean, they don't have to do too much to compete well in that area, and they've got a bunch of Disney talent. So good on them.
Yeah. No, and I think that's the model. People are going to say, hey, look, we know what you have to do. Disney just isn't doing it. So all you need is the capital. You can go in there and do it, and you're going to print money. And especially for people in the heartland, you're like, okay, well, now you don't have to, you know, make this trip out, you know, Texans, Oklahomans, people in middle America, you know, people who have really been left behind by Disney don't have to slug it over to Florida or California to deal with the woke parks. They can just go and stay and go to a park where it isn't trying to preach them. It's just trying to have fun, just trying to make a good old fashioned theme park, which
Yeah.
Americans still love and people around the world still love theme parks.
And also to throw Comcast in there a little bit, there's that Frisco park that they are developing right now, which will have all those, you know, Universal IPs that they want to put there, and they seem to pick up all the ones that Disney doesn't own. Like Harry Potter is not a Comcast Universal IP. Lord of the Rings, which there's been this long-standing rumor that they've got Lord of the Rings as theme park rights. That's being built in Frisco, so they might be developing a whole other center of the theme park business here, as well as Comcast said in their quarterly earnings report that international travel, which Disney would be tracking this same metric, international travel to Florida is softening, and they continue to see it soften. So they're not seeing a turnaround for their international visitors, while they are definitely rising locally. So Disney has to have those same figures. So unless Disney has access to different data, we're just going to see a continuous decline of Walt Disney World, which favors heavily towards international visitors.
Well, and I will say a lot of the people I know, because I follow a lot of people out there, and you know, me over here in Asia, you know, I'm following you know, a lot of different folks that are, you know, from Korea, Japan, over here in Asia. And I see them going to the other Disney worlds, right? There's Disney worlds in Tokyo, right? There's the, you know, they're going to Tokyo Disney, or they're going to Shanghai if they're Chinese, or they're just going elsewhere. They're traveling and taking their money and going elsewhere. A lot of them are here in Thailand right now on vacation, but they're not going to Florida. And that was always such a huge component, was getting those international trips in a Disney World, was getting people that would come out for 2 weeks and just be in that ecosystem, spend all their money there, and then leave.
And I'm fine to violate my current Disney boycott. It's hard not to give them any money because they always own weird, obscure things you'd never
weird stuff. Yes, yes.
But I mean, I would love to go to Tokyo Disneyland and Disney Sea. I hear that Disney Sea is maybe the greatest theme park that's ever built, and all because they handed the keys over to the Oriental Land Company. And when these crazy Americans come through and say, "Hey, can you take Zippity Doodah out of your park, or we'll pay you the money to destroy your splash mountain," they
just say no.
No, thank you. We're good.
Yeah, they said no. They're like, yeah, change Splash Mountain. They're like, no, actually, no. No, I agree with you. That's probably the one place where I'd say, you know what? I know they get a license fee cut. I know it's like a small percentage, but I might be willing to do it just for the meme of like Splash Mountain, to be like, hey, F you, right? Like based Asia, you know, versus the US. You know, it might be worth it for the lulz. I will say it might be worth it for the lulz. It's about the same. Look, I'm the type of guy that relies on a lot of you guys to review these shows and videos because I don't want to give them views or money. I know a lot of the critics go out there, like the people like who are reviewing these movies, and they'll pay because they have to pay to go see a movie to review it, to be like, okay, it's super woke or it's bad, etc. I've always said, okay, there's enough of you guys out there that I don't have to give my money or spend my time. I can rely on you, and I trust you. I trust your channel, trust other people that comment on these videos, because I know that you guys have similar opinions to myself.
Well, the other thing with mine is I try to make it very clear and undeniable. I like to put the clip there with the dialogue caption, so that when somebody says that didn't really happen that way, they did you watch the same thing that the rest of us watched just then of Velma from this children's franchise twerking and selling drugs?
Yeah, it's very much right there. And I think that was the last. Yes, sorry. I think that was the last major thing that I wanted to cover here today. I do want to do a little bit of a locals because I have to get to bed early to make this earnings call. So my plan is, there's some other topics I want to talk about, some other legal issues, some things going on, my travel plans, some stuff. There's some Governor DeSantis, like removing one of the state attorneys in Florida. I want to talk about that on my legalmindset.locals.com. So in just a second, I'm going to open up a live stream there so you guys can come over and check that out and join that. I will add the link in the description so you guys will know all about that right now. But that being said, Jonas, what do you got coming up shortly? Like, what do you got in the pipeline on your channel? Oh, did I kill you? Uh-oh.
Sorry, I muted myself there. I think, I don't know.
No, it's all good.
when my channel, I'm struggling to get a video out because I've been so focused on Valiant and Pro here, because there is so much going on there. I'll be on the earnings call with VR, and of course with Pro there. I'm the producer on the Pro show. Pro show's doing fantastic. I'm trying to get in here to where I can get through the entire MCU Phase 4 before the Marvels comes out, because
when's the release date on the Marvels?
November sometime. So I've got a little bit of time. That being said, going frame by frame, pointing out all the weird ideology.
Yeah, okay. See, November 10th, 2023 is the Marvels. Oh boy, that is going to be such a cluster.
Yes.
What's the budget? What's the budget again on the Marvels?
I don't know what the stated budget is, but usually it's around 250 million. And also they tend to do reshoots. I think they might have been on their third or fourth round of reshoots on that film. I think I caught onto this at some point. Apparently they just gave Miss Marvel Green Lantern's powers, which is bizarre to me. Like, in the comic book, she's a mutant and she has Reed Richards powers, but in the shows, it looks like she can, whatever she imagines becomes like hard light projections, which pretty sure that's DC's Green Lantern. So what in the world? Whatever. That's neither here nor there. Just another bit of cultural arsony by the Walt Disney Company.
Well, they enjoy their cultural vandalism wherever they can get it. But thank you so much. Literally appreciate you joining. I will see you on that earnings call. And guys, if you want the locals after party, the locals link is in the chat. It's pinned to the top. So if you guys want to click on that, I'm going to start that immediately. Let's start that right now.
Awesome.
Go live as soon as I end this, so you guys can go over there and hang out. And until then, guys, take care. Catch you later. Peace.